Is it Kitchener or is it Hamilton? That's one of the common questions I do get asked very often by many of my clients, especially the first-time home buyers and the families who are moving west of the Greater Toronto area, because those are the couple towns we typically see which are on their radar and they are trying to constantly decide which town may be a better fit for them. So that's exactly what we are going to dive into right here in this video. We'll look at some of the key elements that does make up any town a great place to live. So we'll look at those things and compare both these great towns, Kitchener and Hamilton. After all, they both have some great promise in terms of offering a great standard of living for a family. So stay tuned as we get right into it. Hello and welcome. If this is your first time to this channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in and around Kitchener, Cambridge and Waterloo, then subscribe below and tap on that bell for notification so you can be the first to learn about the current market in and around Kitchener. My name is Dharmik Dixit. I'm a local real estate agent serving Cambridge, Kitchener, Waterloo and surrounding areas. I do get calls, texts, emails from people just like yourself who are looking for help in making their move in and around Kitchener, and I absolutely love it. So whether you're thinking of moving in 9 days or 90 days, be sure to reach out. You can give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, or you can even schedule a Zoom call. All the info you will find right below in the description. I'll be more than happy to help you guys make a smooth move to Cambridge, Kitchener, Waterloo, and surrounding towns. When it comes to location, Hamilton is a clear winner here, and the major reason being the fact that Hamilton is closer to the Greater Toronto area and the Toronto itself, while Kitchener, you're looking at about 20 minutes more commute, and it's a little bit further west in comparison to Hamilton and its proximity to that of Toronto. Now, having said that, on the top of that, Hamilton is also surrounded by beautiful Lake Ontario and plenty of mountains and the waterfalls. Apparently it is considered the waterfall town of the North America. So definitely lots of nature, lots of water bodies to enjoy for people living in Hamilton. While Kitchener, on the other hand, it's a little bit landlocked. I mean, it's pretty much landlocked. Cambridge, Kitchener, and Waterloo. I mentioned again and again in my previous videos too, we don't have a major body surrounding us here in Kitchener, and we do honestly miss it at times, and we do feel envy at times about people living closer to those lake waters, like people living in Hamilton, Burlington, Oakville, even Toronto, Mississauga, all those places, because you could literally have a lake maybe a short drive from where you're living. So yeah, location, you gotta give this point to Hamilton. Now let's look at the job market between these two towns. If I look at Hamilton first, the primary industries you will find in Hamilton driving the city's economy include manufacturing, finance, life sciences, you have food and agri, and then you have a handful of IT and tech jobs in Hamilton. Compared to that, in Kitchener, when I say Kitchener, we are looking at Kitchener Waterloo as a whole. The primary occupations and the industries where jobs are available still include advanced manufacturing, you have automotive, you have aerospace, you have IT, and the startup ecosystem right here in the Waterloo region being considered the Silicon Valley of the North. And then you have a good chunk of food processing jobs available in the Waterloo region. So that's, as you can see, if you compare the both towns, what you will find in KW, the job market is slightly more diverse in nature, the work economy, but in comparison to that, Hamilton apparently is the largest producer of steel in Canada. So apparently it does produce about 60% of Canada's steel. So what you will find, a lot of jobs and the industries driving the city's economy to this date are also around manufacturing of steel and processing of the steel products. So that's thriving the Hamilton's economy primarily, whereby KW, you'll find a bit more diverse job options living in KW. Now let's compare the real estate price points between these two towns to see where you are able to get the most value for your money as a buyer of real estate. If I had to look at Hamilton, according to the Hamilton Board's website, as per the Q3 of 2023, an average price for a detached home was around $880,000. In comparison to that, Kitchener average price was $830,000. So again, not a huge difference, but if I were to look at a average price of a townhome for the same quarter, in Hamilton, that was around $746,000, whereby in Kitchener, it was around $650,000. So now you do see there is a material difference of close to 100 grand for an average price of a home for a townhome. In comparison to that, if I will further go down and look at the apartments, an average cost for an apartment unit in Hamilton for the Q3 of 2023 again was $530,000. In comparison to that, the same thing in Kitchener would cost you around $470,000. So again, there is a little bit of a material difference for the cost of an apartment as well. Now, it's worth noting that Hamilton is a far bigger municipality than that of Kitchener as a whole. There are a number of more neighborhoods, so it really depends. While these averages are good to note, it would really depend which part of Hamilton you live. I mean, anywhere close to the mountains and areas where the new development is, I mean, you will definitely pay more than these prices. For an average cost of a townhome will go close to high 700s into low 800s for, let's say, a brand new townhome around 1500 square feet. In comparison to that, yes, Kitchener-Waterloo, Kitchener as a whole, even if I were to just talk about Kitchener, well, you will definitely find some more bargain for your money, and while not really compromising on the neighborhood as a whole. So like I said, the value for money in terms of real estate, while still offering equally good upside potential, Kitchener would be a better value for money in terms of investment in real estate or buying in real estate in comparison to Hamilton. Now let's compare the cost of living between both these towns of Kitchener and Hamilton. Well, I have pulled some data. If you were to rent, I would say Hamilton will be slightly cheaper. But if you were to own, well, Kitchener-Waterloo will be cheaper for you, mainly for the fact that I mentioned the real estate price points. You will definitely find better price points, more value, more bargain for your money when it comes to searching for real estate living in Kitchener-Waterloo versus Hamilton. That's why if you plan on owning, well, KW will be cheaper overall. But if you plan on renting, average cost of a one-bedroom rent for Hamilton is around $1,625 versus that of Kitchener-Waterloo is around close to $1,800. For a two-bedroom average in Hamilton coming around $2,090, so just around $2,100 per month. Same thing in Kitchener-Waterloo was $2,266. And this is according to a website called Zumper.com, which is again a rent research website. I've included the link below in the description. And finally, three-bedroom average in Hamilton around $2,625 per month, while in Kitchener-Waterloo, that was around close to $2,800. So again, like I said, if you rent, well, Kitchener-Waterloo might be slightly on a higher end in comparison to Hamilton, primarily due to the fact that Kitchener-Waterloo has far more of a student population, housing several colleges and universities. So rental demand is usually always higher in KW in comparison to Hamilton. But like I said, if you plan on owning, well, the cost of living might be slightly lower for you in Kitchener than Hamilton. But having said that, other things like discretionary things, day-to-day groceries and dining and things like that, it's not going to be much different, guys, because again, both of these are, after all, a suburban towns located outside of the major cluster like Toronto. So it's not going to vary significantly. They're going to be very similar. Other than the shelter costs, you will not see a huge variation in terms of the cost of living for other parts of your budget. Now, when it comes to the overall safety, I would say both these towns are pretty good overall in terms of its safety. But if I were to go purely by the number, as per the Canada Crime Index, Hamilton apparently does score better than the Kitchener-Waterloo. So the safety index in Hamilton is 65 versus KW is 79. So lower the better actually. And Kitchener-Waterloo, apparently as per this study done by the Canada Crime Index, if I look up their website, KW is considered less safer than that of Hamilton. But hey, hear me out. The same Canada Crime Index has marked Peel Region, Mississauga and Brampton at 45. So basically what they're trying to say is Mississauga and Brampton, they are both actually safer than that of Kitchener-Waterloo and that of Hamilton. So I don't know what goes into this data, but again, like I said, they're both, in my humble opinion, they're both equally safe town. You just have to pick the right pocket. Every town will have some good pockets, some bad pockets, and that's why it becomes so much important for you to work with a local real estate professional who knows those pockets, whether they're good or bad. So that's like I said, overall safety, they're both equally good. Now, if I were to look at the public transit for both these towns, I would say they both do fare, quite equal in terms of the public transit connectivity and the accessibility. After all, they're both like suburbs outside of the Toronto area, so don't expect something as good as what you find in Toronto in terms of the accessibility and the frequency of the public transit. They both do have their new LRT systems that connects you to the major transportation hubs, and of course for the interior streets and the interior parts of the town, you do have good bus transit network connecting you through the public transit. But like I said, do not expect something too good. Both of these towns are still to date are primarily car-friendly towns. So car would be your best way to go in or around the town while living in either Hamilton or Kitchener. But if you were to rely on public transit, they do rank fairly equal in terms of their connectivity and the accessibility. Now, if we were to talk about the options for recreation and entertainment, both of these towns do offer some great indoor entertainment options. Also worth noting, both of these towns has virtually non-existent nightlife, so it's nothing as compared to Toronto. If you are someone moving from a bigger town like Toronto, well, don't expect anything in comparison to that here in Kitchener or in Hamilton. But other than that, if you are thinking more about outdoor and the nature, I have to give this point out to Hamilton purely due to the fact that you are surrounded by mountains, waterfalls, and beautiful lakefronts. I mean, what else could you need to enjoy the outdoors? And Hamilton has just that to offer you living there in Hamilton. But in comparison to that, Kitchener can't beat that. We do have some great riverfronts along the banks of Grand River. There are some great conservation areas. There are some natural areas across the town and across the region. And another benefit is living in Hamilton, you're very close to the places like Burlington, Oakville, and Niagara Falls on the other end. So you are definitely have some great outdoor recreation options living in Hamilton in comparison to Kitchener-Waterloo. So that's why I gotta give this point out to Hamilton when it comes to outdoor recreation and entertainment. Let's look at the access to education in both these towns. When it comes to schooling system, both these towns have their independent public district school boards governing the schooling system. You will have some great schooling options no matter where you live, whether it's Kitchener or Hamilton. But when it comes to higher education, again, both these towns have some great options. On one hand, Hamilton is home to McMaster University and Mohawk College. Both of these places are very well known for some of its offerings in the higher education. On the other hand, living in Kitchener, you will have access to the Conestoga College, one of the major campus offering various programs on various disciplines for diploma and degree programs. And of course, living in Kitchener, you will have access to two other universities, Wilfrid Laurier University, well known for its business program, and then you have University of Waterloo, very well known for its engineering and the computer science program. So both of these towns do offer some great options when it comes to higher education. I think it's a matter of preference and what discipline you want to pursue the education. Both of these towns have some great options when it comes to the higher education. So I would say it's pretty much a tie for both of them. Finally, let's look at the growth prospects for both these towns of Kitchener and Hamilton. Honestly, guys, they both offer some great promise as a town to in terms of its future growth potential. They both have experienced tremendous growth. But if I were to look at the last 5 or maybe last decade, as a town, Kitchener has definitely surpassed Hamilton in terms of the overall growth. Having said that, some people do prefer close proximity to the Greater Toronto area and the major clusters, so it's really a preference. But like I said, both towns do offer some great promise in terms of its future growth potential. Hamilton, being close to a major cluster, has some advantage in comparison to Kitchener, but on the other hand, we do have a developing IT and the tech scene and the venture capital investments being flowing in the Waterloo region in the past few years. So that's definitely have an edge when it comes to a region as a whole for Waterloo region. So like I said, both these towns do offer some great promise. It's really, you have to pick your bets as to what's in it for you, and accordingly you can choose which town might be the right one for you. So now we have the apple to apple comparison between two of these great towns. After all, both of these towns offer some great option for someone looking out to move to a suburban setting away from the hustle and bustle of the big town like Toronto, while not being too far from it. Both Hamilton and Kitchener are great options, but you have to see what is more suitable for your lifestyle, for your family's needs, and for the priorities you guys have in place in terms of what you're looking out of a city. And accordingly, you can choose one or another. But nonetheless, whether it's Kitchener, Hamilton, or any other town, feel free to reach out. You can give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, or even schedule a Zoom call. All the info you will find right below in the description. I'll be more than happy to help you guys make a smooth move in and around Kitchener. Until next time, well, I do hope to show you around town.